This is Michael Garvin. I'm filling in for Tom Shepard, who's driving and who is in attendance, but because he's driving, I'm going to share the meeting. I'd like to take attendance first. Should I call that, or Deb, are you going to do that?
I'll call that. We have President Tom Shepard.
Here.
And Vice President LaTanya Kenner.
Here.
Secretary Michael Garvin.
Here.
And we have Treasurer Paul Payne. Paul,
Here.
And Second Vice President Todd Walterman.
Here.
And then for guests, Charles Salisbury.
Nice
Kitty
to be here.
Ratcliffe. Oh, sorry, Kitty Ratcliffe.
Here.
Neil Palacios, both of
Here.
Explore St. Louis. And Karen Jordan of Denton's.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have the meeting.
Thank you. The first item on today's agenda is approval of the minutes from the August 24th, 2020 meeting. A copy of those has been distributed to the board members in advance. Are there any additions or corrections anyone would like to propose? Hearing none, we'll hear a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, Todd.
All opposed? The motion unanimously carries. The second item on the agenda is approval of the following resolution. And I assume you want me to read this for the record?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was afraid you'd say that. Resolution of the Board of Directors of the St. Louis Municipal Finance Corporation for the general welfare, safety, and benefit of the citizens of the city of St. Louis, Missouri, approving the purchase and sale agreement, authorizing and directing the officers of the corporation to execute and deliver the purchase and sale agreement, and authorizing such other actions as may be necessary or desirable to carry out and comply with the intent hereof. Is there any discussion? Well, do I hear a motion first? We can have a motion and then discussion.
I moves to approve.
Second.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Salisbury, you want to give us a brief description of the agreement that we're considering?
Yes, I'd be happy to do so. You have in front of you a resolution to approve the execution and delivery of the purchase and sale agreement. This document is a part of the project that was approved by this board back toward the end of last year. It is a part of the project that you finance with your 2020 bonds, which is going to expand, enhance, and improve the convention center. And one point along the way to get all of the project accomplished is to acquire this property through the sale. So this is in fulfillment of your prior motion and designed to bring this land into the convention center so that the goals that were outlined in your prior resolutions can be fulfilled. This is a standard kind of a resolution authorizing the form of the agreement and also giving authority to the officers who signed the document to approve certain changes that are consistent with this resolution, but that may be required in order to make sure that the St. Louis Municipal Finance Corporation is fully protected in moving forward with the documentation.
And Mr. Salisbury, as attorney for the corporation, you reviewed it and you're recommending its approval?
Yes, I do. In fact, I might say that Karen Jordan and I have been working closely with the seller's attorney to put this document together. And we're confident that this document fits into the parameters of your prior ordinances or your prior resolutions. And also, of course, the overarching resolution of the city of St. Louis, designing the project and setting forth its parameters.
I agree with everything that Mr. Salisbury has stated.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Kitty Radcliffe, would you like to add anything?
Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody for considering this. I do have some images I'm happy to show if you would like me to show that, to show you the property, unless everybody's very familiar with it and doesn't need it.
I'll leave that to the consensus of the board.
Yeah, I'll jump in just so I'm clear. So the original resolution authorized the overall issuance and pursuit of the financing agreement. So what we're doing here today, this is required because this specific action was not authorized in the original resolution. Is that? I want to distinguish, because why do we need the second resolution? Mm-hmm. It's because it's an additional action. How would you describe that then?
The project was approved, right, and this was part of the project, but we did not have the transaction documents ready, and we did not have an agreement with the sellers at that point. So there were other property acquisitions that were done in connection with the 2020, or at the same time as the issuance of the 2020 bonds, that we were able to have documents in substantially final form. We did not have documents in substantially final form for this because there was still a negotiation process with the sellers.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much time, but I'd be curious. I'd be curious on your detail, on your images, Kitty. What you?
Yeah, if I'm allowed with the shared screen, then I will try to do that. So can you see that?
No.
Okay.
Is that something that TV needs to allow you to do, to share?
Yeah, you have to give me permission, I think, to share my screen.
St. Louis TV, are you still there?
Yes, I just made her co-host. See if
Okay.
you see an option below. See a green button that says share screen.
Yeah. Can you see that now?
Not yet.
Oh.
No?
No.
I've got it on my full screen, and I click the share screen button.
Did you select? I think there's a second step. So once you hit share screen, your screens pop up and it asks you to confirm which screen you want to share. Maybe.
Yeah, it's just ask who can share and who can start sharing. So I'm not quite sure why it's not showing. So you're sure I'm given permission?
Yes, that really should be it. You have full permission to share your screen. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, Kitty, I just asked Jen Harris to come by your office. Maybe she can help.
Okay.
While we're doing that, I had a question. How does this ultimate sale price, was there a original amount budgeted for it, and how does the ultimate sale price match up to what was initially budgeted in the total budget for this purchase?
Okay, Tom, I guess I can answer that for you.
Okay.
We were able to go back out into the market because the market was so favorable at that time. And we were able to get the additional amount for the purchase of the real estate. And that amount has already been budgeted, and we've already allocated those funds.
So when we okay, but so when we originally passed the resolution, there was no and there was a certain amount of money that we were trying to get for renovation of the convention center. Was there an amount budgeted for the purchase? Was that part of the entire budget, the purchase of this building, or I guess that's my first question.
In response to your question, there was a deposit amount that was allocated in our exhibit, and we were able to go back and get the full amount that we was willing
so
to.
Because the rates were so good. Oh, okay.
Yes, but we had already had a deposit that was agreed upon in our exhibit.
That was the $50,000.
That was the 500,000.
I mean 500,000.
Yes.
Okay. And then after negotiating the price was when we were able to fit that extra money into the payments that we planned on making anyway because of the market.
Yes, we were able to get proceeds in the amount to finance the purchase of the garage.
Okay, as part of, and it didn't affect the payment that we expected to make.
You're breaking, Tom, you're breaking up.
Okay, so it doesn't affect it didn't, we're not gonna have to pay more money. We're paying the same amount we allocated or agreed to pay every year in our original resolution, I guess. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess so in our original budget, we had to increase our original budget in order to make the purchase, but we found the money by we were able to.
The original, the par amount of the bonds that were issued were as approved by the corporation. Because of the interest rates and the favorable market, there were additional proceeds that the finance corporation was able to achieve, and that allowed the full purchase to go forward. So it does not impact. It did not require the borrowing of any additional funds. It did not impact the bond authorization. We just had a very favorable result when we went out to the market, which allowed us to move forward when at the time we were looking at the issuance of the bonds, there was no, we had included a deposit, and with the project is the expansion of the convention center and improvement of the convention center, and it involved the acquisition of real estate. So it was already included.
That was always
project.
So that was always the plan, to purchase the real estate and
Yes.
Get the extra money, to try to get the money. Okay.
Yes, it was always the plan. We're now.
But it wasn't. But only 500,000 was budgeted in the original amount for it.
Correct.
Okay.
And Tom, let me add to that. Our city, and I think you're trying to get to our city's portion or the city's payment, that did not.
Yeah,
change.
that's not going to change. Now I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that. I was saying is, are we paying what we expected to pay for it? Was my main question. I'm assuming when we started this, we figured an amount that we would end up paying for this transaction for the building, and I'm just saying is what we're paying kind of fit into what we expected to pay for it?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
And so I know Paul Payne is on a very tight timeline. So if we want to turn over to Kitty for the slides.
So can everybody see that now?
Yes.
So I don't know what happened there, but anyway, this is very quick, just to show you what the property is. As you were talking about, there were 3 parcels that had been acquired prior to the bond issuance. There was the hope of acquiring this additional parcel, but that deal wasn't done at the time the bonds were issued. Just to show you, this is the general overview of what the project will look like when it's completed, and that was based on the acquisition of the 3 additional parcels that we knew were going to happen. One of those parcels was then retained by LCRA. 2 became incorporated as part of the project. The one that was outstanding is the one where you can see the parking garage that is sitting in the middle of the building. The history on that property is very quickly, the original convention center was built in 1977. And in 1986, a plan was put actually out there to expand the building by expanding it to the east on the site that was then contained the Sheraton St. Louis and would go to the east. That was put before the voters for approval in 87 and was approved. Was originally scheduled for completion in 1990. But what happened immediately thereafter was that the football Cardinals left town, and the community kind of scrambled to figure out what was going to happen. And they decided, instead of going an expansion to the east, that a football stadium would be built on the east, and the southern expansion, the expansion that had previously been approved for the convention center, would become a southern expansion and go to the south. And it was turned. That proposal and that plan was put out in the public before this parking garage was acquired. And the parking garage sat across the street from the entrance to the convention center. And so the owners of that property suddenly had, the idea that their property was worth a little bit more. In the end, the decision was made to build around it. So what we've ended up with all these years is a parking garage that the building actually wraps around. This parking garage, as you can see outlined in yellow there, has 1 entrance and 1 exit, which is on 7th Street. That's the street that's on the east side. The other 3 sides of the garage have convention center around them, but that's not actually physically a part of the convention center, nor is it attached to the convention center. And this garage was built around 1960. So it's not in good condition. The acquisition of this property has long been sought. And so that's what we're trying to do here today. This will give you an idea of a little bit more about the property itself. On the upper right, you can see an image that shows the convention center wall on the left and the garage on the right. So you can see that it is not physically attached to the convention center. The bottom right shows you the location of the garage if you were looking on Convention Plaza from Broadway. So that basically, that angle was taken from the corner of the dome that's at Broadway and Convention Plaza, looking towards the west. The bottom left shows you the actual entrance and exit. As you can see, there's only 1 entrance and 1 exit. This is a 910 space garage, which if any of you have ever parked there for a big event and tried to get out, it would take you an hour to get out of the 1 entrance and the 1 exit. And then the last image on the upper left is of a skywalk that is connected from the garage to what was formerly the Dillard's department store and is now the Laurel Apartments. That there's a skywalk easement that's a part of this project. And so you have all the documentation on that. You just need to know that that is not an accessible skywalk at present. When the owners of the Laurel Apartments and the Embassy Suites that there bought the old building, they actually bricked up the skywalk on their side. So it's a bridge to nowhere. But that easement is a part of that project. It's in very bad condition, very poor condition. And we had attempted to do a negotiation with the owners of the property a number of years ago. They wanted a much higher price for that. And then we did some due diligence on it and determined that structurally there were some significant challenges to it. So we walked away from the deal. And that's why this property was not, the deal was not done when the bonds were issued. I think that's it.
Hey, Kitty, so the way the bond, with the funds that we have available through the bond issuance, this is just acquisition, is that right? Or is there something to be done with the site itself?
This is acquisition just to get it under control and as a part of the property. And the opportunity to do that is now. We would anticipate, although I think there's further discussion that needs to happen on this, we would anticipate that that this will eventually be demolished and a surface parking lot that is a part of the convention center will be in its place.
Okay. Thanks.
It does also then pave the way down the road for long-term redevelopment. And you can see directly, looking at the picture on the bottom right, you can see in the foreground, which is to the east of that garage, there is a city-owned surface lot immediately to the east. So there are some, future development opportunities there.
Hey, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second on the floor. I'd like to call for a vote. Deb, would you prefer to read his name or just want to have everybody?
Do a roll call. Tom Shepard.
Tom's muted.
Tom is muted.
Aye.
Paul Payne.
Aye.
Todd Walterman.
Aye.
LaTanya Kenner.
Aye.
And Michael Garvin.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion carries. Is there any other business that the board members would like to discuss today? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Hey, all opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned. It's
Thank
Thanks.
you all.
Thanks.
Thank you.